anywhere since the death of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And those things I find to be very miraculous because it's been more than 1,000 years. And one of those things the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam managed to get us to practice and never leave off is giving salam to one another, for example. Rarely will you meet two Muslims, especially if they're from different cultures, who meet each other and say to each other, hi. When's the last time you heard that? Everyone says salam, salamu alaikum, and the different variations which is permissible for you to give the salam in. The amount of reward and benefit the Muslims are getting out of that, they do not know. At this point, we give salam so often, it's whatever. Nobody thinks anything about it. We don't even think it's special. He just gave me salam. But this salam that you were given and this salam that you returned might be a source of great benefit in your life and the life of your brother whom you returned it to. But our topic isn't about giving salam. Our topic is about some of the things that ought to be embedded in the Muslim's life the way salam is embedded in our life. The way we naturally give salam to one another, there are some other things we should be doing naturally, normally. We shouldn't even have to think about it. There's a certain short surah by the name of Suratul Hujurat. And Hujurat is in reference to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam's houses or homes, which were really rooms, which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had close to the masjid, in which each wife of his sallallahu alaihi wasallam resided. The surah is called that because Allah tabarak wa ta'ala says close to the beginning, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُنَادُونَكَ مِنْ وَرَاءِ الْحُجُرَاتِ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Most of the times, if a surah gets its name, it gets its name from the first thing that's mentioned, or from the most important thing that's mentioned, or it gets its name from the topic that is often repeated in the surah. Sometimes the name of the surah comes from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly, and other times it is because the scholars looked at the surah and they gave it a name. So it's possible for you to find two different names for the same surah. Suratul Isra is also called Suratul Bani Israel. Suratul Tawbah is also called Suratul Bara'ah. And so on and so forth. There are plenty. Suratul Insan is also called Suratul Dahr. The point is, when the ulama looked at different surahs, sometimes they would have a name, and the ulama said, this is a very good name for this surah, but you know what else is? But when they gave the second name, they weren't giving that name to really give it. They were giving that name to tell you, look out for this particular topic within the surah. It's really important. For example, Surah Al-Nahl, which is the surah of the bee, because Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions a bee somewhere in the middle. Some of the ulama said, you can call this surah Suratul Ni'mah, the surah of blessings. And that's because when you read Surah Al-Nahl, you're going to mention a bee one time. But if you read through it, going all the way to the end, you see one of the main things Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala constantly talks about is his ni'mah upon the Muslims. Surah Al-Hujurat, if you want, you could refer to it as the surah of adab. The surah of what? Of adab. Nearly the entire surah, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is teaching Muslims how to be between one another, or how to be with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or how to be with mankind in general. Allah starts the surah giving adab to the Muslims. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. Oh, you believe, do not precede Allah and His Messenger. Don't precede them. What does that mean? It means an issue comes to the Muslims. The Muslims. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about us. An issue comes to us. Big deal. Everyone has an opinion about it. Everyone has something to say about it. And guys, you see, the problem isn't really that you have something to say about it or that you have an opinion. That's not the problem. Allah is not forbidding